So I'm willing to bet that you've been daydreaming a lot about starting your own business and quitting your job and becoming your own boss and the whole shebang. But I'm here to tell you a fact. Most of you watching this video will never ever end up starting your own business. And no, it's not always about the fear of money. The devil on the left side of your shoulder has a million different ways to convince you that it's not the right path for you. But I think there is a way out. As Robert Frost has said, sometimes the only way out is through. So I'm going to share a conversation I had with Aliya on the fears of starting her own coaching practice. And she got really vulnerable with me. So I hope that this video becomes a tipping point for you to stop dreaming and get going. Without further ado, here's Aliya on starting her own first business. So when you were trying to step away from your corporate ladder, what were your biggest fears and considerations? And I want you to tell me without telling me how you overcame them. But what was bothering you the most about going out on your own, doing this thing as a full-on career? What was the anti-case? What was the, left shoulder angel saying, don't do this, Aliya. Don't do this. It's going to be very bad for you. What were some of the no, don't do this cases that you were building up in your mind?
I think it was the first thing that comes to mind is how could I do something like this? Who am I to do something like this? And especially being, young as well, it was kind of the thing about who will take me seriously, wanting to help people and support people, be a coach. They're going to be how can you help people at this age? And with the lack of experience and all of that, my track so far was very kind of clear cut. It was uni and then job and then my next role. So thinking outside of the box was something completely new as well. And I come from a family of professionals and not business owners. So it was something quite new and different as well. And so it was just suddenly opening your mind to something different. And the first thing, would this fail? What if I do it and I fail? So all of those thoughts that were coming up, initially thinking, what if I try and I fail, it doesn't go right? And yeah.
So you're massive impostoring.
Oh, massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
So you have the same background. I think you don't have a business family, right? Is that you mentioned. So what was the reaction of family, friends, and I'm talking friends that were in the medical career with you that were not thinking? What were some of the phrases that you remember till today about when you made the decision, that's it, I'm doing it, I'm quitting, I've done my accreditations, I'm on my own now? What was the support system like at that point? Or lack of support system?
Yeah, it's interesting because you kind of see two sides. I think you see different responses from different people. I think I'm lucky that my family were super supportive of it. They were like, if that's what you want to do, that's great. You should go for it, try it at least. And then, I think some friends were super supportive, some not so supportive actually. So it's kind of how can you do something different? Or sometimes if you have the courage to do something differently and people deep down want to do that and they're not, it can cause a little bit of friction almost. So I had to kind of go through that. And I think sometimes when you step out and do things differently, you also see other sides to people, and sometimes your relationships change as a result as well.
Yeah, it was kind of similar for us too, I guess. Well, I was quite late into the journey. So I was 33, 34 by the time I jumped ship. Family was not happy. You have a good thing going here, you've built up a solid career, you have a trajectory, stop messing around. And even before I started the business, I'd moved around different industries quite a bit. I'd get to one, I'd get good at it, then I'd get bored, then I moved to the next one, and I did that a bunch of times. And I remember my mom and my sisters, because they come from that background where none of us have ever done business. We've always kind of the package, the benefits, the sobriety of it all, just go in 9 to 5, just having your path kind of cleared out for you. They were worried. And maybe that worry came as lack of support. And for the first year or two, they thought it was just a passion project too, right? So they treat it as a passion project where they're like, oh, you can always go back into the job, right? And that's what we thought. Okay, I'm experienced enough to get back into the work field without ever losing, my salary level or whatever else might be. So they thought, oh, it's his hobby, let him play.
Yeah.
But the thing that you mentioned there, and we can dig into that, is you start changing who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Once you go out kind of on your own, because these conversations, like the ones that we're having, very difficult to have that with salaried people, or you can't do that for too long. You can't.
Yeah.
I find I can't hold conversations with salaried people for a long amount of time, unless I've known them since I was kids. Like my childhood friends, I can talk to them forever. But
Yeah.
I feel like my circle has now vastly changed to more entrepreneurs versus salaried people. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, mostly entrepreneurs, I would say. Yeah, a couple of close friends who are like professionals in salaries, but most of them are. Yeah, the conversation is different.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And not to say that I don't like salaried people, because I think you can do really great things.
Yeah, of course.
Working a job and working a career. There are things that they'll be able to do that I will never be able to achieve, or the value that they might provide to humanity might be in total more than I would. And I respect them for that. It's just the unnecessary stressing that we do as business owners is not really, you try to talk it out, people, and they're like, oh, what do you worry about? You got a business. I'm like, yeah. I was talking to my barber the other day and he asked me, it's like, so what do you do? I'm like, oh, I have a business. He's like, oh, wow, you're set. And I'm like, no, I've never made less money in my life. What are you talking? But they shower this praise on you, right? They say like, wow, you must be great. Like, when's your next Tesla coming in? Like, not a long time. Yeah. So I wanted to also ask you, given these bouts of impostering when you started and the support from friends and changing the social circles, when did you first realize you're onto something good? When did you, that first moment, there must be a lot along the way as you keep checking in with yourself.
Yeah.
But what was the first time you're like, oh, I made the right decision?
I think it was just like when I just started coaching and made a positive impact, and you'd have those light bulb moments with clients and they're like, oh wow, that's really helped me. I remember actually one of the first clients that I started working with, we started working a lot on her limiting beliefs when it comes to work and the way she sees herself, and just like few things she started to differently. She started sitting somewhere else at work and not surrounding herself with everyone and chit-chatting and all that. She started being really serious and you kind of liaising with mentors at work. And then within a couple of months, she actually was promoted. And that was one of my first clients. It was actually my first client. And it was just incredible. And I was like, wow, just because her mind was like opened and she saw herself as like somewhere beyond where she is now. And she moved in that direction. So for me, seeing these shifts, I was like, wow, I want to do more of this. This is great. It's fun. Yeah.
No, and do you have the same habit that I do, that I continually watch my own customer testimonials just when I'm having a bad day? I don't turn on Netflix. I'd rather like, look, you're doing good in the world.
Watch video testimony. Naeem's great. He's the best.
It helps a lot. It's my therapy. But no, having that kind of feedback from your first ever client.
Yeah, it was really great. So, and then just like, people, small things like they've been really hard on themselves and then suddenly they can start looking in the mirror. And again, this is like 4 years ago, right? These shifts, or, when I first started, it was very much like, it was all about confidence, but, literally write down 10 things that you like about yourself, 10 positive qualities that you have. I remember one of my first ever sessions, and she was quite senior, and I think she was in finance. This is back in London, and she couldn't write anything. And we just sat there and I said, look, I'm going to give you the time that you need, right? And then finally she started writing a few. And then to be able to even do that, it was like, wow, big moments like that. Yeah, kind of early on. So I think just from kind of seeing these shifts and seeing people then start to walk differently, talk differently, put themselves out there at work and, telling their friends. And then I started running workshops. So this is back in London. I started running confidence workshops and I started bringing women together. And that's what I loved, is that because a lot of people on this journey of personal growth, I don't know if you felt this, is it can be very isolating because suddenly you're like, hey, I see the world differently now. I don't just want to be like just 9 to 5ing with my friends and hanging out and like talking about, bitching about our boss. Like I want to do more in life. And then suddenly you outgrow your circle and it's like, this is really uncomfortable now. Like I'm outgrowing my friends. So I would run these workshops and bring like-minded people together. And then so that was really cool as well. So, because I was like, I don't ever want anyone to feel like they're alone. So if I can provide these spaces and hey, you can meet someone, connect and grow together, that's like amazing to see.
Yeah.